Natalie, what were your thoughts on the Fever defense? It appeared to be more physical in the second half.
Exactly. They were more physical than us in the second half. Kind of dictated a little bit more of our flow, but I thought we did a great job of still navigating the matchups that we wanted. Unfortunately, we just missed.
Hayes, do you like that? That's what happens when you piss a goat off. Caitlin Clark in GOAT mode versus Tiffany Hayes and the Golden State Valkyries.
On them today. Tore they ass up from beginning to end. Talk about a show. A smoke show from the GOAT, Tiffany Hayes. That's what we call BTA. That's for talking crazy to the GOAT. That's for running your mouth too much.
The Valkyries believed they had the perfect blueprint for slowing Caitlin Clark down, right up until the second half exploded into complete chaos. Every defensive adjustment stopped working, every answer vanished, and the entire arena slowly realized this was becoming something much bigger than just a player getting hot for one night. But what was the moment that completely flipped the game? And what did Nakase accidentally reveal afterward that suddenly has fans debating everything nonstop?
Couple things I want to point out there. Number one, Caitlin said it took us a year longer than we would have liked. And that is in reference to the fact that Indiana had not beaten the Golden State Valkyries. Remember, Golden State was an expansion team. Came out in 2025. Indiana could not get a win. So finally, they got the monkey off the back. The second thing I want to point out is she says, thanks for booing the refs. And it was interesting in the post-game press conference, she found out that she had a technical. She had no idea that
Before we move on, smash that like button and subscribe because you know you do not want to miss this one. Nobody expected a routine Friday night matchup against the Golden State Valkyries to turn into a full-scale warning shot to the entire WNBA. But by the final buzzer, that is exactly what happened. What started as a tense, physical, emotionally charged battle slowly evolved into something much bigger than a simple 90-82 victory for the Indiana Fever.
This was the first time this year where the Fever have made a comeback. This is the first time this year the Indiana Fever won a close game. And I'm not counting the Sparks. They were up 8. They were up 19 points. And this was a game where Caitlin was fantastic through 3.5 quarters and made some weird plays in the last 3 minutes of the game. Made some really, really weird plays. I gotta say, like 3 turnovers, I think, in the last 3 minutes.
The atmosphere inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse felt completely different from the opening tip because Caitlin Clark did not step onto that floor looking relaxed, carefree, or interested in putting on a friendly show for the crowd. She walked into the arena carrying frustration, pressure, criticism, and the emotional weight of an entire week filled with non-stop debates, confusing injury narratives, and endless speculation surrounding her status.
It all starts out with Lexi's absolutely tenacious defense on Tiffany Hayes. Lexi is so good with the lateral movement and sticking on her defender. She does not give Tiff Hayes a minute to breathe any sort of comfort. Tiff chucks it up and it's clean, no foul from Lexi, and who comes down with the rebound? None other than Lexi, the Lexecutionator Hull. As we see, Caitlin is taking her time getting up the court. Lexi is sprinting up, gets it over to KM. Kelsey sees Caitlin in her favorite spot, wide open, nothing but net. And there's a lot going around about this interaction right afterwards with Caitlin and Tiff Hayes. And when you go through film, you see some stuff. Like right after she gets the shot off, Tiff kind of chest bumps her, and the internet doing internet things discovered that Caitlin said, "Yeah, you like that?" Tiff Hayes responds with,
By the time the second half began, all of that pressure and frustration exploded directly onto the court against the Golden State Valkyries. And head coach Natalie Nakase suddenly found herself watching an entire defensive game plan unravel in real time.
Our actions, I felt we got downhill, we got to the spots. I think we had some quality looks, especially towards the end. Balls just didn't fall in.
What did you think of the arch quality?
I just said they were trying to, again, we spaced the floor pretty well. I thought we, again, attacked the matchup that we wanted. And then, yeah, it just didn't fall tonight.
The most fascinating part of the entire night was that the Golden State Valkyries actually entered the game with a genuinely smart defensive strategy. This was not some careless effort built on hope and luck. The Valkyries created an entire game plan designed specifically to make Caitlin Clark uncomfortable from the very first possession. Coach Natalie Nakase deserves credit because she clearly studied every layer of Clark's game. She understood how dangerous Clark becomes in transition, how quickly she can change momentum with deep three-pointers from nearly 30 feet away, and how lethal she is once she starts controlling the tempo and manipulating defenders with hesitation moves and rapid ball movement. Every drive to the basket came with heavy contact. The Valkyries repeatedly forced Indiana Fever into uncomfortable offensive possessions, and for long stretches the Fever looked frustrated, rushed, and completely out of rhythm. Clark was visibly irritated early because Golden State refused to give her clean shooting windows or easy passing lanes. The physical defense constantly disrupted Indiana's timing, and the game slowly started feeling less like a polished professional matchup and more like a full-on street fight disguised as a basketball game.
Awesome win! Listen, anybody who knows the Valkyries knew this was going to be a hell of a game, a competitive game. The Valkyries is the only team in the league that reminds me of Indiana Fever, the way they play. And from last season, we saw that these two teams, they have a very die-hard attitude. And we've witnessed that from last season when we were out with Clark and we fought our way all the way to the playoffs, made it out of the first round, and then got knocked out in the semis.
What made the tension feel even heavier was everything that happened before the game ever tipped off. Earlier in the week, Caitlin Clark found herself pulled directly into a wave of non-stop media controversy surrounding her injury timeline. Suddenly, social media detectives, sports commentators, and random online accounts all convinced themselves they had uncovered some massive conspiracy about her availability. The speculation became so over the top that Clark finally addressed it publicly during a press conference before the game against the Golden State Valkyries. And even though she stayed calm while answering the questions, the frustration was impossible to miss. Clark looked drained by the constant noise surrounding her name. She looked exhausted from having to defend herself over and over again. More than anything, she looked angry. That emotion carried directly onto the court. You could see it every time she absorbed contact at the rim. You could hear it during dead ball moments and conversations with officials. There was a completely different edge to her energy compared to earlier games this season. It felt like the mindset of someone who spent an entire week hearing criticism, speculation, and accusations from every direction and finally decided the only response left was to answer loudly on the basketball floor.
Assist. I'm just going to tweet this out. It's like Caitlin Clark was one assist off tying Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark was one assist off tying Caitlin Clark for the most consecutive 20 points and 10 assist games. It was a pity. Like you would have thought that she might have got it today. Especially going into the fourth quarter where she needed a couple of assists and the last couple of minutes where she just needed one. For like 7 of 15, 4 of 5 free throws. She missed her first free throw of the season. If we're looking at the box.
Then the game finally reached its boiling point late in the second quarter. Caitlin Clark became involved in a heated altercation with Janelle Salon after an aggressive loose ball sequence underneath the basket. The physical contact instantly turned into a verbal exchange, and within seconds teammates and officials were rushing into the middle of the situation
have been the night
escalated even further.
that Caitlin Clark put the league on notice.
Technical fouls.
I've had
The crowd
enough
exploded, and suddenly the
of
entire
y'all's
atmosphere
bullshit.
inside Gamebridge Fieldhouse
I've had enough.
completely changed. That moment became
Want
the
to hack
emotional
me? You
turning
want to
point of the
foul
night.
me?
Some players lose
Referees?
control
Whoa.
after confrontations like
Got
that.
to be
Other
more
players
careful.
somehow become
I mean,
even more focused,
this was
more
an
dangerous,
ugly,
and more locked
ugly
in.
game.
Clark clearly falls into
It
the
was
second
an ugly
category
win.
because she came out of halftime
But the
looking
Fever
like a
got the
completely
win,
different
and
player.
Caitlin
And
Clark,
what made
once
it
again,
even more brutal for the Golden
pretty much
State
put this
Valkyries
team
was
on
the
her
timing.
back.
It felt like a direct response to everything that had happened during the first half. The Valkyries spent 2 quarters trying to shake her confidence with physical defense, pressure, and non-stop contact. And Clark answered by casually pulling up from another zip code and drilling a shot without a second of hesitation.